Okay, good. Hi everyone, how are you doing? Now, in this particular session, we're going to be looking at how to create a basic interactive game or an interactive simulation using Microsoft PowerPoint. And this can be done whether or not you have Microsoft PowerPoint on your Windows computer or if you have it on a Mac computer. Now, one of the things that we probably need to bear in mind is that we have to think about what the simulation is going to be about or what the game is going to be about. And then we think of what exactly is the storyline and how will it go? What will happen first? And if a response is correct, where will it take the players? Where will it take the students? And if it's correct, where will it take the student? What kind of feedback will they get? Is this being used for practice purpose as a trial so they can practice as often without being penalized? Or is this being handled as something that they have to get correct at the first time? So after you have thought out all of this, you can then begin to build your simulation or your game. Now, the game that I'm presenting, it's a very basic game. It has only 12 slides, but the game interaction itself takes place on 5 or 6 slides. Okay, and I will post the complete game for you to play. I will also post a very basic interactive simulation that you can see. Okay, both follow the same set of steps. So let us begin. One of the first things that I'm going to do, I'm going to actually delete this first slide because this is just there to talk a little bit about what you ought to do. In the interim, just to ensure that I don't spend too much time adding the content, one of the things that I did, I went through and I had my 12 slides and I simply put the basic information that I need on each. Okay, so I've already put the information that I need on each of the slides. I am now going to put the information in terms of what happens when the students click. So I went through and I have put in all the information that I need on all my slides, but now I'm going to add the interaction part to it. All right, so let me delete this first slide here because we don't need that one. That was just for me to give you a preamble. All right, so on the first slide here, I have the title. Okay, so this is what the students will see when they click to go in. This is a food game. It has to do with some cooking, and so it is called the Chef's Choice. One of the things that is wrong with this, if I were to put it in slideshow view, is that it does not have anywhere for the student to click to continue with the game. So one of the first things that we'll have to do, we'll have to put in a button which says play, and then we have to put a hyperlink on the button so that when the students click it, it takes them to where they should go. All right, so I am just going to go through and I am going to put play on this slide. I'm going to put play on this slide as well. And I don't, well, if they're playing and they want to leave, so I'm just going to put a little red X on each of these so that they have that option. So let me, right, so I need to put some X's and some basic information, all right? And then on this slide here, should they have one, I need to put something that says they can accept the challenge or see more information about the challenge or something like that. So I'm just going to pause the recording and put that kind of information in on each slide, and then I'll come back. What I can do though is for the first slide, I'll show you exactly how I will do this so that you have an idea. So the first thing that I will need to do is insert something that has a container holder of text. So I am going to go to insert and scrolling across the shapes. I am looking for a shape, so I'm going to select this one, rectangle with rounded corners, and I'm just going to draw my shape right here. I can use that little yellow marker and tidy my shape up a little bit. Okay, and now I'll add my text. I can either double click in the box or I can right click and select add text, and I'm going to write play. It's a little bit small, so I am going to make it a little bigger. I'm going to put it on bold as well, and I could change the font if I wanted to. I think I'll leave the font. I'll just make it a little bigger. There. So it says play. Now it looks a little bit drab. So what I will do, I'm going to add a little oomph to it. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a shape outline. So I'm going to give it a color, goldish color. So, and then I'm also going to make it a little bit thicker. So the border will be thicker. Not bad. And then the other thing that I will do, I will change the shape fill. So I go up to shape fill and I am going to click on the green. Okay. And the other thing that I'll do, I'll just click back on this text box and I'll go back to shape fill and I'll go down to gradient and I'll select this one so that it gives it a little look to it. All right, so this looks good, and if I preview it, that is what it would look like. So we are setting up, and so I'm just going to go through and put the other text folders that will give students information in, and then I will be right back. Beautiful. So I have put in all my markers. So I have a play on that one. Leave, should they decide that while they're carrying out the task they want to leave. So I put that on each of the kitchen slides because that is where they would be working. And then I have got it here because this is the recipe and the preparation of the meal information that they will have to read. I have two, one that they'll read for the first time and one that they will read should they decide to double check what is there. And then I have a leave for the disaster page. I have an accept if they win the challenge, and then I have a leave for the things that they do wrong. So I have put a text on, and I am going to just walk you through how you add your hyperlinks for all of that. Now, on the first slide, this is your cover slide, you want when the students press play, it takes them to slide 2. And this is something that it is good if you work it out in your head and put it on paper so that you know exactly what happens when they move from one action on a slide to the other. So here I am on slide 1, and I want slide 1 when they press play to take me to slide 2, which will give them an overview of the competition and what it is they're expected to do. So I would click on the play button, and then I would go up to insert and move across to, you will see link and action. So you can click on link. Alternatively, you can right click on the object or the text box and select hyperlink. Okay, both will take you to the same place. So I'm going to click on hyperlink, and it asks me, where do you want this link to be? So it's you would want the link to be put on an existing file or web page, a place in this document, or email address, or create a new document. So I want it to be somewhere in this document, and I want it to go to slide 2, or I could select next slide. It doesn't matter, either works. So I'm going to click on next slide, and Good thing is that you get a little preview, so that also helps in guiding you. And so I'm going to press OK. And we do the same thing going through. After they have read the overview, I want when they click play, it takes them to the kitchen where they will begin, which is slide 3. So when I click on slide 2, on play on slide 2, I can go to link. So I make sure my insert menu is open and I click on link. And this time I can actually click on slide 3, or I can say next slide again. Okay, so when they click play, it will take them to slide 3, which is here. So I'm going to click OK. All right, and then of course you would go through and you do the same thing on each of the slides. When it comes to leave, what we would do, we would click on leave, and remember when I said when you go to insert, you'll see link and action. If I click on action, it gives me something similar. So I would click on hyperlink to, and instead of selecting a slide, next slide, or a slide number, I would click on end show. So when the students are in the show view and they're going through, if they were to click it, it would take them out of it altogether. Okay, if I wanted them to, if I didn't want them to just get bumped out like that, but get some kind of feedback or some kind of interaction, I could then select leave and go to my action. I'm just showing you another way that you can put your links in. Hyperlink to, click the drop down, and then I would go to slide, and on my slide 12 I have some interaction with the student before they leave, so I would click OK and then click OK. So I'm not going to go through the others because you have a pretty fair idea of what you would click in order for the students to be taken to where you want them to go. The other important thing at this point is what happens in the kitchen while they're working. So I have set up what I call some basic areas that we can put links on. So this is the first time that they're coming into the kitchen, and we want them to be able to familiarize themselves with the recipe that they're going to be preparing. So there is a recipe book, and there is some information on a page regarding the recipe. So we need to ensure that when the students click the recipe book, it takes them there. Of course, you could also put your links on other things. When they click the microwave, it may take them to a page that says, what are you looking for in the microwave? Do you know what you're preparing? Or this is your first warning, or something like that. But we're putting all the distractions, or at least most of them, out of this, and we're going to click on the recipe book, and we follow the same set of instructions. We right click, or we go to insert, link, or action, and we go to where we have our recipe book. Now the first time will be slide 8, so we click on OK. And we would have to know exactly where what takes us. So as the creator of the game, you would know that if they click on something else, it will take them to another part of the game where you have your information set up. So I'm just going to go through right now, and I'm going to put all the links in on all the things that matter, and then I will be right back where we will now put in things like music, and we will test our game. All right, so let me just go through and do that. So I'm going to pause the recording. I will be right back after I have inserted all the different links. Beautiful. So I went through and I put all my hyperlinks on, and I am ready to do the last two steps in my game before I test it thoroughly. At this point, I want to put some music in. So I insert my music, and I can insert my music in what is known as the transition. So currently when I click on transition and I move across to sound, it says no sound. Only WAV files can be uploaded in the transition. So please note that in a normal PowerPoint lesson, you can insert an MP3 or a WAV file. If you're going to embed an audio file into the transition, however, it has to be a .wav file. Okay. Now, I want to have a sort of sound that has to do with an introduction to a game sort of thing. So I had found one that I like, and I want to insert it. I would go to sound, click the drop down. So I'm on the transition, click the drop down, and if it's not in the lineup of what I have here, I would scroll down to other sound, click on other sound, and then I look for where my music is, and I click on it and click OK. You would get a preview that you can listen to, and you decide if you are good with it. And you go through all your slides that have sounds. Now, if it's a sound that you want the minute the students go there, you can simply insert it in the transition. If it's a sound that you want them to hear, they have the choice to decide if they want to hear it or not. Then you can easily insert a sound, or you can record a sound. And to do that, you would go to insert, scroll across to audio. You can look for audio on my PC if you have the sound already. You click on it, you click insert, and when the information comes up, so there is the icon, you can simply move the icon, but you need to pay attention to whether or not you want it to start when the students click on it, or if you want it to start automatically, or if you want to show it while the presentation or the game is in play mode. You can decide all of that. Okay, so you can do all of those things. And finally, you remember when we went to insert action? I can go to insert, scroll across, or I need to click on something. Scroll across to action, click on action, and I can put a sound on the play. Okay, so I can select play sound, and I look for the sound that I want to play. I click OK, and when I test it, so I'd go to slideshow, view from current slide. If I click it, it will play. Okay, so that is essentially it in terms of inserting your audio, and we are going to test this. Well, I will upload it so that you can test it, but there is one more thing that I want. Usually with a PowerPoint, once it is being viewed by default, students can move through. So if I'm playing and I don't want to see what is here, I can simply click and move through. Okay, I don't want that to happen in my simulation or in my game. I want them to be able to move through only if they have made a selection. And they can only go back if they click something on my simulation or on my game. So in order to control and manage how they move, I can go to slideshow, and then I go to setup slideshow. When I go to set up slideshow, I get a number of options. But what I am interested in for this particular one is browse at a kiosk full screen, which means that you can't move forward until you click something on the screen, and this prevents them from moving through. So here I am, and if I click, nothing happens. I can't move on to the other slide at all. And if I use my keyboard moving forward or backwards, nothing happens. So this is one way that you can control the game so that they are forced to make a selection based on the direction you want them to go. So we have completed very, very basic steps of how to build your PowerPoint. Most of us already know how to put PowerPoint slides together. This is simply telling you how to add hyperlinks, how to put your music in, how to decide what goes where. For this particular game, I created the logo. I went to flaming text, and in flaming text, I decided to create my logo using their fonts, and then I inserted my images. My chef, or all my chefs, are from Graphics Factory, to which I subscribe, but you have some free sites that will allow you to find some beautiful images. My kitchen I built from using different pieces from Find Icon, and again you have websites that allow you to have your free access to a number of images. The sounds I got from freesounds.org, but you also have Sound Bible, which is quite good. The icons for play and so forth, these I created, you can see, but if you search, if you wanted some that were already made, you can do a search and you will find a number of them on the internet. Just remember that if you are using internet sources, that you just put a page. Usually if you look at a real game, you'll realize that there's a credit page or an acknowledgement game page. You can also create one in yours. And if you are going to be using games with your students, more and more students are asking for games and interactions. If you are going to be using games, one of the things that I would suggest that you do is download a couple of games on your phone or go to some websites and don't just see what is there. Play a few games so you get a feel of what to do and how the system reacts to certain inputs that you make. Okay, so I will be uploading the completed game, and then I will be uploading a simulation for you. So I am taking no joy away from you by playing it here. I will upload it to the CETL space so that you can get a chance to play it and also check out the simulation. Both games and simulations follow a similar process using Microsoft PowerPoint to create your game. I think that's it for this session. If you have any questions where this is concerned or you wanted any more clarification, just post it in the student facilitator forum and I would be more than happy to clarify. Have a good one.